Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Frank Morandi. First, the national news. Only a day after some flood victims began returning to their dwellings in valleys, flooding of the Msimbazi River has forced them to leave for safer shelters. Here's more on the report.
Dar es Salaam's regional commissioner said Mek Sadiq has issued another directive for residents in flood-prone valley areas to move immediately, warning them that their houses will be bulldozed down if they refuse to adhere to the order. 40 people were killed in the recent floods and hundreds are still sheltering at designated camps at various primary and secondary schools. However, according to the Dar es Salaam regional commissioner, the flood victims will have to leave the shelters at the schools once schools reopen. Tanzania Meteorological Agency says more heavy rains are expected during the next few days right up January.
5 days since flash floods hit Dar es Salaam, some victims of the floods in Basihaya Boko area on the outskirts of the city have not received any humanitarian assistance and their houses continue to be surrounded by water. Here are more details on the story.
Reporters witnessed houses surrounded by water while some of the victims were sheltering at a car wash parking area still under construction. They said that they have not received any form of aid since the calamity occurred and that they were living in hardship as they are forced to sleep in the open and urged the government to take urgent measures to help them. Meanwhile, councillors of Bunju and Kunduchi wards, Majimarefu Sharifu and Janet Thrite, said disaster committees have started to find initial solution of the problem, including moral and material support.
A Bagamoyo District Police Commander in Coast Region, Bonaventure Limo, today tried to prevent a cameraman from ITV from taking his picture after grabbing his equipment. Here are the details.
The incident took place at Kiaraka village, Bagamoyo district, when ITV cameraman was on duty and the police chief was being shown areas of a land dispute. The fracas occurred as pictures were being taken by the cameraman during a hot exchange of words between the commander and some people protesting against his order for a bulldozer to demolish their houses. After noting that he was being recorded, the police chief descended from his vehicle and started to question the cameraman, why he was being filmed without his consent. However, following intervention from the people, he left from the scene of incident.
Police in Mara region have singled out rampant crimes in Tarime and Roya districts. They include narcotics, gender violence, murders, livestock theft, adolescent pregnancies, and armed robbery. Here's the report.
The statement was issued by Community Policing Unit Commander Basilio Mtei during a symposium convened by leaders of a religious foundation engaged in research on drugs, globalization, outdated traditions, and respect of the rule of law. At the symposium, Assistant Commissioner of Police Angelbert Kiondo called on people to work tirelessly to arrest criminals, including bandits, instead of waiting for police to do the work. He also sounded a warning to motorcycle operators, commonly known as boda boda, who have become the major source of adolescent pregnancies among school girls.
A team of eye specialists from a non-governmental organization in Austria called Vision Without Frontiers is on a 4-day visit to provide free eye care services, including eye cataract removal surgery. Speaking at Kinondoni Tumaini Hospital, where they are attending eyes patients, leader of the team, Dr. Marcos Grassel, said they undertook the mission because many people cannot afford eye treatment services.
Challenging here is that we see kinds of forms of cataract we don't see in Europe, so advanced, very hard nuclei, white cataract, very hypermaturic cataracts. But this is our 30th eye camp in Namibia, Zambia, Tanzania, and Nepal, and we are used to do that challenging cases. So it takes a long experience, about 20 years, and all of our surgeons and the whole team is very experienced.
Tanzania Women Police Network in Iringa region has urged the society to report acts of abuse against children and women as part of a campaign to stamp out gender-based violence. Here are the details.
The appeal was made by the network's secretary Atupele Mwangunda when handing over food aid to children from Upendo Orphanage Center in Iringa municipality. The children urged Tanzania police to provide them with employment opportunities upon completion of their studies.
Developed nations need to make good on their pledges to assist developing countries in mitigating the effects of climate change. This will help developing nations finance environmental-friendly programs which will facilitate sustainable economic growth. The appeal was made today in Dar es Salaam by Project Manager of Tanzania's Civil Society Forum on Climate Change, Latif Amas.
Individuals in developing countries could plant more trees, maybe install a solar panel. You could, do your bit. You could bike to work. You could do all these little things. But I think what's really important is for developing countries to get money for climate change adaptation. Because looking at our population, over 80% of us in Tanzania are farmers, smallholder farmers who are dependent on the rain. And if you now have rain which is unpredictable, erratic rainfall patterns, then it's very likely that the farmers will suffer. Just this year, which is, they're saying it's one of the hottest years ever recorded. And we've just had rains which the last time we had this much rain was 1954, 57 years later, on the hottest years ever. So you could just imagine what's really going on. The earth is not healthy.
And that's the end of the national news. Africa News is next after this break.